Well, good morning. I'm glad that you're there. There was a lot of partying going on last night, and so you are the brave ones. So I think we'll have a lovely morning, extremely informative, brainy. And so I'm very glad. I'll introduce first my own team, and then after that I will have the luck to be able to present Matt Mason, who will be talking right after me. My own team is dedicated to the centennial of Marshall McLuhan. Who has heard of McLuhan? Good, this is a very cultivated crowd. Who has read McLuhan? You can all, got you. No, the point is, Marshall said, the less they read about you, the less they read you, the more famous you are. So anyway, so it's about McLuhan's centenary, and I just wanted to, hopefully this is going to start up and be happy. There it is. Oh yeah. So do I have one of? No, I guess I can just do it like this. Don't know how to. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Okay. So what did McLuhan not predict? Where we are now is 10 predictions in 2 sentences from 1962, 50 years ago, that describe that exactly. The next medium, whatever it is, it may be the extension of consciousness, hence the internet, will include television as its content and not as its environment, which is what's happening on internet, will transform television in an art form. I'm giving you 2 seconds to find out what is TV in an art form. YouTube. YouTube is giving the tools of art to anybody in the world. So it's turned it into an art form. 4 is really quite ordinary now. But in '62, it could have been funny, strange to say, a computer as a research and communication instrument. He said that it would be tied to Xerox and to telephone. And when you read that, it's so sweet. How did he get so far? Just thinking about a telephone and Xerox. Anyway, 5 is cool, could enhance retrieval, everything available at your fingertip. But 6 and 7 are phenomenal. 6 is, will obsolesce mass library organization. Do you know what that is? That's tagging. Tagging anything to anything. That's obsolescing mass library organization. And then the 7th. I'll let you guess what the 7th is. Retrieve the individual's encyclopedic function. That's the most spellbinding one. That's Wikipedia. That's the possibility of each one of us to contribute to a central database available for everybody. 1962, I don't know how he got it. The rest is banal. The rest is the economy, right? Speedily private line, speedily tailored data of a saleable kind. Okay, so that's now. That's what he's describing. It's our present. What would be? Well, how much further can we go? Not because you have to read it. Rapidly we approach. Oh yes, this is. I forgot to put it up, but this is mobility is the 3rd phase of electricity. Mobility is the first phase was analog, which was light, heat, and power. The 2nd phase is digital, which is the cognitive revolution and the internet. And the 3rd phase is mobile. And this is what this is discussed here. We are in the 3rd phase of electricity. So rapidly we approach a final phase of the extension of man, the technological simulation of consciousness, when the creative process of knowing will be collectively and corporately extended to the whole human society, such as we have already extended our senses and our nerves by the various media. For with the telegraph, man has initiated the outering or extension of his central nervous system that is now approaching an extension of consciousness with satellite broadcasting. Satellite broadcasting. It took him just satellite broadcasting to arrive at that extension of consciousness. Specifically, we now share too much about each other to be strangers to each other. For example, in the age of the information explosion, all the walls go out between age groups, between family groups, national groups, between economies. The walls go out. People suddenly have to adjust themselves to this new proximity, this new interrelationship, and merely to tell them that this happened isn't very helpful. What they need to know is what, if it's happening, what it's doing to me. Speed of mind at instant speed. Everybody begins to live inside a 360-degree module in which every event echoes every other event back and forth at electric speed. And all events bounce off each other, creating patterns. There is one optimistic feature. The mind moves very much faster than light. Light travels to Mars in minutes. The mind can go and come back from Mars in instant many times. The mind can actually recognize all these electric patterns as easily as it can alphabetic letters. It's very much faster than the computer. So it's absolutely fascinating series of observation of our condition, but you could also call it sophistry. The idea that, my mind is faster than light simply because I can think about Mars and coming back. But take it on the right side, and it's exactly what he's saying. What may emerge as the most important of the 21st century, inside of the 21st century, is that man was not designed to live at the speed of light. Without the countervailing balance of natural and physical laws, the new video-related media will make man implode on himself. And I'm going to give you some evidence of that. What is to be done? This is for Louisa. Today with electronics, we have discovered that we live in a global village. The job is to create a global city as center for the village margins. The parameters of this task are by no means positional. With electronics, any marginal area can become center. This is really a good thought. And marginal experiences can be had at any center. God is everywhere. His center is everywhere, and his circumference nowhere, was the old medieval way of describing the position of God. That's the position of people online. Perhaps the city needed to coordinate and concert the I love this one, the distracted sense programs of our global village will have to be built by computers in the way in which a big city airport has to coordinate multiple flights. Some people might argue with that, but if it's Microsoft running it. Anyway, the future of education, there is no kind of, this is wonderful. I wanted to put there innocentive. Anybody knows about innocentive? Innocentive is, I want to give you a few examples. Innocentive is a site where 100,000 doctors, pharmacists, chemists, and physicians share questions. They have a journal of questions, and then you just keep reading the journal of questions. And if you happen somewhere in the world to have the answer, you start a business with that question. So it's a brilliant way of using the internet in terms of intelligence, and there are many examples of that. There's no kind of problem that baffles one or a dozen experts that cannot be solved at once by a million minds that are given a chance simultaneously to tackle a problem. I call that the bottle in the sea. Yes, the whole sea is reading it, right? So the satisfaction in individual prestige, which we formerly derived from procession of expertise, must now yield to the much greater satisfaction of dialogue and group discovery. The task yields to the task force. I have to run through a little bit, but this is the use of computer, but I know that I don't have much time to go through everything. So I'd like to go on to the suggestions that we are now living in an entirely magic world. The idea of the medieval magic, and it explains the success of Harry Potter, that happens simply by pressing on the button to open your car door at a distance. That magic at a distance is now creating a sensibility which has changed. And in fact, yesterday, 2 or 3 people talked about that, including Tiffany, saying that yes, our feelings and our cognitive process is changing because of the environment in which we are living, and magic is one of them. Everybody knows about air tags and augmented reality and so on. There is an incentive. Entertainment, I put it in the wrong place. Entertainment in the future may have quite different patterns and function. You will become a yogi, you will do your self-entertainment in yoga style. Anybody tried emotive? Good. Everybody else should. That's something that happens in the tent. And what it is, it's the realization of something that I predicted 20 years ago, the mind-machine direct connect, that possibility of making, literally, your thoughts produce something on a screen, which is even a further externalization of your consciousness on the screen. I'm a screenologist, by the way. 3D culture. The 3D culture, I don't know why this is happening like this. It seems to me that I had put that elsewhere. But anyway, the 3D culture is it's not only the penetration of a new kind of space and a new use of space. We don't know how far the 3D television is going to go, but it's starting for sure. The 3D culture is something else. The 3D culture is the production of materials now through software. We went from atoms to bits, and we're going back to atoms via bits, that's magic, the possibility of creating something. But let us be warned, today we get inside the machine, it's inside us, we in it. Fusion, oblivion, safety. Now the human machines are geared to smash one another. You can't shout warnings or encouragements to these machines. First, there has to be a retracing process, a reduction of the machine to human form. Since Circe only turned men into swine, our problem is tougher. I call that Pinocchio 2.0. I may not have a chance to expand on it, so I'll tell you right now. Pinocchio 2.0 is The Matrix, being John Malkovich. Our whole dream industry is telling us, giving us, projecting images of us and telling us what we are becoming. Pinocchio 1.0 was a little puppet, the product of the industrial society invading the agrarian society of Tuscany. And his only dream was to become a human. And in order to become a human, he had to overcome a bunch of things, but eventually he went through the whale, and that was the Matrix, and he turned human. Avatar is the exact reverse story. You've all seen Avatar, it's a 3D, you've been swallowed by the system, it's the way it should be. Isn't that the Matrix is already there in some fashion? The only thing is, Avatar doesn't want to turn human. He wants to abandon a human, and the human wants to turn Avatar. That's the reverse message. Avatar is the electronic man, not the industrial man. Avatar is the electronic, and so how do we recover? Do we want to recover our humanity beyond Avatar, beyond the Matrix, beyond digitization? It's very interesting. All of these things are happening, are absolutely fascinating. I want to leave you with 4 tipping points, and we will have a few. 4 tipping point. Wearing mankind as our skin was an idea of McLuhan years ago. In the age of instant information, we wear all mankind as the extension of our skin. That's the exact quote. And I'll show you I'll show you something that is doing just that. Avatar is destiny. I think I've sort of explained it from atom to bits and back. I'll show you some example. And then finally, your digital mirror. These are 4 things that I'd like you to keep out of this. First of all, this tactile sensor to the world. It's a joke. It's not even a joke. It's a bizarre thing. I won't go into the details of it. But what it is something you put, like you see this around your ear or wherever on your body, wherever you feel sensitive. You have a website. You key in your keywords for information that you want to have sent to you. And whenever a certain amount of information has come, you get a buzzer on your skin. So what? You know, how different is it to get it from your cell phone? The difference is you're slapped onto the world. The world is literally, you're right on it. When it gets your skin, that's why McLuhan is so important, when it gets your skin, it's a different game altogether than if you still have the pseudo-detachment of the visual system. So it's very, very, that's one thing to remember. And it's a reversal. It's a tipping point. It's a point, it's one of the weak signals of the future. It's the point at which when you start thinking of these tactile interfaces and this tactility and this kind of management of interval that all virtual reality is inviting us to do, then you suddenly think in that direction. Your creativity moves to the side. Another one, Pinocchio versus Avatar, I think I've done it, but 3D culture, we've done it, so you see I did this whole wrong. But the right to forget, that's the big discourse. This is another tipping point. Now, the idea being that if in international constitutional law regarding how data managed about us is managed, and to what extent can we have control of it, this is something, it's the reversal of a legal situation where the individual was known as a private citizen. Now the individual is known as a public citizen. And so the idea that a right to forget, I'll give you an example. Google will actually profile each one of you with at least 55 or 60 different parameters, which will eventually give the kind of idea to Google of what will serve you best, which is all in the perfect intention. The only thing is, if I do it from Nice and you would do it from God knows where, New York or Toronto, and we both ask the exact same question, we'll have entirely different answers. Big deal, that's exactly what it's for. Yeah, right, but then is there any other way where I could go back to a neutral Google when I'm not profiled, when I actually share the same level of serendipity about the matter as everybody else? So profiling on Google is a problem. The other one being quite evident, if you have made some stupid jokes on Facebook about your future employer, probably he will not be your future employer. So the right to forget is a tipping point. It's reshaping the self-image of people today. So are we really free now? This is something that McLuhan actually ended up with a rather good note. I think this is it is this multiplicity of media that is now enabling man to free himself from media for the first time in history. He has been the victim, the servo mechanism of his technologies, his media from the beginning of time, but now, because of the sheer multiplicity of them, he is beginning to awaken, because he can't live with them all. It's really quite an amazing statement, freeing ourselves from media. I'm quite amazed to hear what Tiffany Schlein was saying, promoting this, I'm stopping all media for a day. You know, it's a kind of new, it's not a new religion, it is a new practice, but it's a new ritual. It's a new ritual relating to the problems that we have of being entirely and constantly available. We are always, always, always on. Anyway, I've made those points. I don't know that there's time for questions, but what I then would like to do is perhaps is there time for questions? No, not really. So you want to get on? Trying to see if I forgot anything important to say, but no, I don't think so. So I would like to present then Matt Mason, who is a director of innovation at, sorry about the Syrup. Okay, the brand. Oh, anyway, we'll talk about it later. Anyway, please come and join me. I think you're going to talk first and show things. All right. So Matt Mason is also the author of the Pirate's Dilemma, and I'm glad to say that the tipping points, the reversals, all these reversals, the Pirate's Dilemma is yet another reverse. In other words, a situation like ours at electronic speed reverses all the gears. And so you reverse the way you do things. For example, instead of hoarding your information about your gold mine, you actually give it to the rest of the world and you find more gold. That's the way it's happening. That's reversal. And maybe that's what we're probably going to find more gold in what Matt has to say. So would you like to join me?